Alright guys, we are starting Module 4 with Lesson 8, and hopefully you remember our work from Module 1 when we started working with area. This lesson is all about trying to find the area of a rectangle using multiplication. And if you remember back in Module 1, we had rectangles that had a lot of squares in them, and one of our strategies for finding the area was to count up the squares. But now that you know multiplication so well, you can just use your multiplication facts to solve for area instead of counting up the squares. So if you look at problem number 1, it says write a multiplication sentence to find the area of each rectangle. So if you look at this rectangle, you'll notice there aren't any squares. We could draw them in. This 7 up here means that there's going to be 7 in the row across, and this 4 over here means there's going to be 4 rows. So we could draw those in, but that would take a lot of time, and when you're counting that way you can make some mistakes. And so we're going to be more efficient with this lesson. We're going to use our multiplication facts. So to find the area, which is this blank in the middle, you're going to multiply the two sides. So we're going to take our 4 and fill it in the multiplication sentence, multiplied by the 7. What is 4 times 7? 28, right? So that is the area, 28 square feet. Okay? And remember, square feet is really important when you're labeling the area. It's required because the area is made up of all those squares that we didn't draw, that we used to draw when we were younger. So now that we're older, we're going to do it the efficient way. Look at letter B, same idea. So this side is 8 feet, so that's our first factor. The other side is 7 feet. So when you multiply 8 times 7, you get what? That's a tough multiplication problem. You should get 56. One strategy for solving your 8s is to think of the 8 as a 4. Cut it in half, multiply that by 7, you get 28, and then double your answer, because you'd have to double the 4 to get back to the 8 groups that you're talking about, or the 8 feet in this case. So our area is 56. Letter C, we have 6 feet by 6 feet. And 6 times 6 is 36. So you're really just solving basic math facts to solve for the area. Okay? One side times the other side. All right, let's look at number 2. Write a multiplication sentence and a division sentence to find the unknown side length for each rectangle. So the difference here is that we're actually given the area and one side length, whereas in the beginning, or in the first problem, we got both side lengths. We had to find the area. So we can still work through this in a similar way. We have one side length that's 9 feet times the other side length that we don't know. It's going to equal 72. Okay, so we can think in our heads, well, 9 times what is 72? Or we can write the division sentence, which is 72 divided by the factor we do know, 9, equals what? And if you work through that problem, your answer would be 8. So the missing side length is 8. And we need to fill that in our multiplication sentence as well. We multiply 9 times 8, we'll get 72. When we're given the area, the easiest way to solve that is as a division problem. Let's try letter B. We have 3 feet on one side. We don't know the second side, but a total of 15 square feet is our area. So I'll give you a second to try to write that division problem. Okay, so you should have written 15 divided by the factor we know equals 5. So our missing side length is 5, and we fill that in our multiplication sentence as well. All right, last one. Ooh, we don't know the first factor. We know the second one is a 4, and we know that equals 28. So 28 divided by 4 equals what? Figure that one out now. Okay, so 28 divided by 4 is 7. That's our missing side and our missing factor in our multiplication sentence. So we're just using what we know about division, working it backwards to solve for the missing side. Okay, last one on this side. Laura drew a rectangle that had side lengths of 9 centimeters and 6 centimeters. What is the area of the rectangle? Explain how you found your answer. Well, we learned up here in problem 1 that we can multiply to get that answer. So let's take the one side of 9 times the other side of 6. If we solve for that, we get 54. So 54 centimeter. Oops. Oh, not even centimeters. Square centimeters. I have to get back in the habit. So how did we find our answer? Well, we multiplied the two side lengths to get the area of 54 square centimeters. Okay? And just so you know, typically when people are finding area, they talk about length and width. And there's conversation about which of these sides is called the length and which of these is called the width. I usually think of this bottom one as the length and this side one as the width. Many people think of the longer one as the length, the shorter one is the width. So if you hear me saying those words, or you hear someone else saying those words, they're talking about these two different sides. For example, if you were going to find, if you were going to buy carpeting to put in your living room or something, or your bedroom, you would measure the length and the width of the room and multiply those two together to figure out how many square feet of carpeting you need to buy. And then, you know, that would help you determine how much you're going to be spending and whether you can afford to buy the carpeting. Okay? Okay, let's go to the back side. There's 2 problems on the back. Number 4 says, Eliza's bedroom measures 6 feet by 7 feet. Her brother's bedroom measures 5 feet by 8 feet. Eliza says their rooms have the same exact floor area. Is she right? Why or why not? So I'm going to start by saying Eliza is, and I'm going to leave the rest for whether I'm going to put whether she's wrong or right. So we need to find the area of her bedroom. Okay? Well, when you see that 6 feet by 7 feet, those are the two side lengths. So you can imagine a room where one side is 6 feet and the other is 7. So let's multiply those together. 6 times 7 is what? 42. All right, now here's her brother's bedroom. 5 feet by 8 feet. What is 5 times 8? 40. So are they the same? No, she is wrong. Because her room is 42 square feet and her brother's is only 40 square feet. She's probably happy because she got the bigger bedroom, don't you think? Okay, I'm going to move on to the next one. If you need to pause this to catch up, go ahead. The last one says Cliff drew a rectangle with a side length of 6 inches and an area of 24 square inches. What is the other side length? How do you know? I always think it's easier just to draw your picture. You're going to be talking about a rectangle, a side length of 6 inches, and an area of 24 square inches. So this is like problem 2 on the other side where we know the area. So if you remember, we need to do a division problem. So we take the area, we divide it by the side that we know to get the missing side. So hit pause if you want to figure that out on your own. 24 divided by 6 is 4. So that's our missing side length. So we're going to answer the question. The other side length, that's a D, is 4 inches. And if you remember from Module 1 when we were working with this, when we're talking about the side lengths, we don't use square inches because we're only talking about the length of this line here, not a whole square. And this measurement up here, which is kind of backwards from how my picture is drawn, the 4 should be shorter. We're just talking about this line. We're not talking about the squares. So we talk about the sides as inches and the area as square inches in this example. The other side length is 4 inches because when I divide the area by 6, I get 4. Okay, so we're just explaining how to solve a problem like that. So in this lesson, you are practicing multiplying the two side lengths to find the area and dividing the area by the side length that you know to find the missing side. Those are the two different ideas in this lesson. All right, so go work on your homework and have a good time doing it. Bye.